Are you craving a trip on Space Mountain? Well, we've got the next best thing. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli, and as you probably know already, this past weekend was the D23 Expo here in Anaheim, California. Yes, every 2 years, us Disney nerds get together at the Anaheim Convention Center and celebrate all things Disney, and it was a fantastic expo. I'm sure you guys followed along online, or perhaps you were maybe there. But yeah, it was so much fun. So many rumors confirmed, so many new announcements that we hadn't even heard anything about, so it was a blast. So this week's episode is going to be a little bit different for those of you who watch on YouTube, because what happened is Aaron and I got together after the second day of the expo at the Paradise Pier Hotel and sat around and talked a bit about what we heard the last 2 days. So that's what today's episode is going to be. If you listen on iTunes or any of the other podcast platforms, it's not going to be much different. We just recorded in a different location. But if you do watch, there is no video to go along with this week's conversation. Don't worry, it'll be back next week, but I just wanted to give you that heads up. So let's cut to that conversation right now.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
Okay, Aaron, we are here in my hotel room at Disney's Paradise Pier in Anaheim, California.
Yes.
And this is the end of day 2 of the D23 Expo.
Oh my gosh.
How you holding up?
I am exhausted already.
It's pretty tiring, and you didn't even have a super early morning.
No.
And it's still pretty tiring.
Yeah.
But so this is very different. So normally on the show we have a very set list of things to talk about. This is an open conversation about anything we want to talk about.
Okay.
So let's just jump in. What's been going on at the expo that excites you tremendously, or you want to talk about what's going on? Because we've hung out a bit at the expo, but we've also separated as well. So
Yes.
What's been going on in your world?
So a couple things that I don't think like you would be super interested in, but got me excited was Kingdom Hearts at the video game panel.
Oh, you went to that panel?
I did not, but it was all live streamed, so
Okay.
I was kind of just like following it as I was waiting in line for Parks and Resorts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Who
yeah.
live streamed it?
Disney did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They should do that with everything.
That was cool because there's like a whole Toy Story level of the game, and we got a release date, which it's been 10 years since the last major game. So.
This was which game did you say?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
I didn't know they were going to continue making those. Wasn't that the one that they is that the one that came with little action figures? And
No, that was Infinity.
that's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
Kingdom Hearts
gone.
is like a
Okay.
very strange, it's a Square Enix game, and it's got like Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters, and
Okay.
it's like really, it's a Japanese game. It's very strange, but it's just very exciting, and I know a lot of people are excited about that. That was a cool thing. Other than that, Star Wars Land stuff all the way.
Star Wars Land, absolutely. So we just saw the Parks and Resorts panel.
Yes.
We're recording this, actually. They gave us a nice little surprise at the end of that. They gave us all fast passes, essentially, to Fantasmic tonight.
Nice.
So we're recording that right now. Then we're going to recording this right now. Then we're going to run and see Fantasmic. Wasn't supposed to open until Monday, so we're seeing it a couple days early, which is cool. I'm excited and
Yeah.
scared about it. Of course, we'll talk about that on a future
my
episode.
gosh.
But Parks and Resorts panel. I mean, so many rumors confirmed.
Yes.
And so much new stuff that was kind of out of left field.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
It just had. I was like hooting and hollering in there. I'll tell you.
There was one time where I thought it was like an applause moment, and I was literally the only person just like, woo! Nobody's gonna. Okay.
That's happened to me all weekend long. But I will say it started off with me freaking out because they did an opening number with the cast members. One of the things I love about the Parks and Resorts panel is they usually bring in entertainers from the parks.
Yes.
To do an opening number and a closing number and
Yeah.
some stuff in between. And the opening number was "Go the Distance" from Hercules, meshed up with "Seize the Day"
Yeah.
from Newsies, and I was literally woo! Like freaking out, and there were people around me who knew me and know my love of Newsies and were having a good laugh at me.
I know you like Seize the Day, but how would you rate the mashup?
I liked it because I love "Go the Distance."
Yes, me too.
I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
song a lot.
I thought it was a little forced, but
I loved it. I was just like, listen, I'm in parks and resorts. This is fantastic. Now, I've got to say, something that's so interesting to me before we get into the meat of parks and resorts.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that this is not the most popular panel.
I know.
At this thing. Parks and resorts to me is the most important thing.
Well,
I think part of it is just that, like, we're very lucky.
I was just going to say, I think movies are so much more accessible.
Yes, I think that's part of it. But it does sadden me quite a bit to just recognize the fact that the most popular thing at the D23 Disney Expo is Star Wars and Marvel.
Right.
Like that, I kind of feel like we need...
There's a reason they acquired those properties.
I get it. It just makes me a little bit sad. I'm not going to lie. Like, I do feel like we kind of need like the D23 Expo, which has all this stuff. And then we need like the Disney Fans Expo, which is maybe what Destination D is. Right. Because this is I mean, with
well, and I think that contributes to one of my major complaints for this year, which is just a ton of people and even more disorganized than expos in the past. And I think a big contributor to that is the fact that there are so many properties now.
They're attracting the riffraff.
Well, it's not just that, but it's just before they or 2013, when I first went, they had just acquired those properties.
Yes.
And so it was still very Disney oriented.
Yeah.
And there was more of a sense of community because everybody was there for Disney. Now it feels a little bit more...
It's all over the place.
Partitioned off, where there's people who are like, I don't care about Disney. I'm here for Marvel and Star Wars. And that does sadden me. I agree.
It saddens me. But, it is what it is at this point. It's just, I get it. It's what makes Disney a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But to me, it should, like... Parks and resorts and animation should be the most important thing, the thing that is most respected, and it's undoubtable. Like, the live action panel is the biggest panel here. It's the most difficult one to get into. It's the one that hits capacity earliest. You know
what's funny to me too, though, about that is that live action is like, you're gonna see all these movies within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But animation's like, you're going to see stuff nobody's ever going to see.
Yeah.
Even with parks and resorts, it's like, you're going to find out things that are in conceptual form. Like,
yeah, it's interesting. Parks and resorts, they're very lackadaisical about cameras.
Right.
So the two big panels, the two only panels, I believe, that do not allow cameras, like literally you have to lock them up in a sealed bag, is animation and live action.
Right.
So they want to make sure that none of this footage that we're seeing is leaked out, which is, it's fine. I get it. That is the one thing. I know you have some complaints about the way things are run this year, but I have to say the system that they have in place for that is the best, and they've been doing it for, is that their second or third time they've used this system? But I will tell you, having gone to every single expo ever, the first time we used to have to check in our cameras and wait in a line to get them back after the panel.
Yeah.
They used to give us a ticket with a number, and we used to have to go retrieve it. That was insane.
You know what? 2013, I remember having to do that for one of the panels.
It was insane.
And it was, I was like, first of all, I don't feel comfortable checking in my camera.
That didn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
For me, it was always, I'm literally running out of these panels, going to another panel.
Yeah.
So to have to wait in a half-hour line to get your phone back is a major, major, major deal. Yeah. So I'm thrilled that they figured out that system with these self-sealable bags. You hold on to it, and basically you can rip it open as soon as it's over.
Yeah.
And it's great. So that, I will say, I applaud them that they figured that out. That's great. I guess I'm trying to say nice things because I know you're going to rip them a new one soon.
Not too bad.
But I know we're a little bit all over the place. And as I said, this is a very disorganized episode on purpose. We're kind of running on frantic energy right now because we literally just left the expo floor. And it's just exciting stuff. We started talking about parks and resorts. Let's hop back to there because, as we mentioned, there's so much stuff that was announced, that was confirmed, and stuff that was just crazy. So let's start. Where do you want to start?
I mean, we'll start. I'd like to start with Star Wars Land because that was sort of the big centerpiece Parks and Resorts thing for this D23
and last D23.
Oh, and last D23.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got the model revealed.
Yep.
And they just really kind of nailed down. I mean, we got an official name.
Yeah, so it's called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is different than what I heard. I actually heard at one point there was a planet name.
Well, it is a planet name. So at some point they will tell us like, this is the planet such and such. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm wondering if it's partially because there's two of them, and so maybe they're going to be different planets.
No, they're not. It's one model.
It's not.
It's not.
It's a different layout in Hollywood Studios.
Different layout, but same.
Very similar concept, but it's going to be. I don't know.
That would be interesting if it were two different planets.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them are going to have the Millennium Falcon, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Galaxies. I mean, it sounds like a safe title. It doesn't offend me by any means. It's not my favorite either. But it works, and I'd rather them have something like that than like something that most people won't be able to pronounce.
Yeah.
They really do have to. It's a tough thing because as much as everybody knows what Star Wars is, there are quite a few people who go to Disney parks who quite possibly have never seen a Star Wars film, or certainly don't know characters' names and planet names and stuff. So they really do have to make sure that the general public will understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I think Galaxy's Edge is safe and fine.
Yeah.
Personally.
And speaking of characters, that was one thing that I was particularly excited about. That might have been my clapping moment because they announced one of the characters that will be there is Hondo Ohnaka, and he's only been in the animated series so far.
Okay.
And so that was very exciting for me that they're bringing this character to life. Mm-hmm. There's going to be other new characters, like specific characters, not just creatures and aliens, but specific characters that serve different purposes.
Do you know which one excites me most of which character is going to be there? I'm very excited that this character, Rex from the original Star Tours.
You mean DJ Rex?
Is going to be a DJ in the cantina.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That made me very happy.
Yeah.
I love how much they respect that character.
Yes.
It's so great because like he was the original character from the original Star Tours, and we love him. So I'm happy to see him return. That was very exciting.
Yeah.
Him as a DJ. For some reason, I immediately like in my head just thought of Sunny Eclipse over at Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom. That's like the first thing that came to my head, but still, I think that's great. So Star Wars Land, I felt like they didn't really tell us too much more than what we kind of knew. Like they elaborated a bit.
Yeah.
But they didn't get too deep into the rides. And they keep reiterating this whole thing that like your actions have consequences in this land.
Yes.
We heard that at Star Wars Celebration. So it's all great information.
I think the only thing, we got a few new pieces of concept art.
So we got a new characters.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But the concept art's great. And I mean, we actually saw some inside of both attractions.
Yeah, and you saw the actual model on the show floor.
Yes.
I have not done that yet, as I've been running to and from panels.
Yeah.
But I plan on doing that tomorrow. But so anything in particular on the model that impressed you or that surprised you?
Oh, I mean, everything. I think seeing it from Mickey and Friends parking structure, I kept thinking like, oh, this is smaller than I thought it would be. And then when I saw the model and I understood like where the entrances were, and I was very blown away by how they utilize the space. And I particularly because when I went to Pandora, and I knew that was 12 acres, and the Star Wars expansion is 14 acres. Mm-hmm. And I was concerned because I was like, well, Pandora feels very small and like it's not as big as I expected. But Star Wars Land utilizes their space. There's alleys and there's all this area broken up into unique areas, and there's a full-size TIE fighter and an X-Wing and
the thing I noticed in like the 3D rendering that they showed us at the panel is that it's not like you can stand, at least from what I could tell, it's not like you can stand in the middle of this land and do a 360 and see it all.
No.
This is very much a little alleys and kind of Diagon Alley-esque if you've been there at Universal Florida. But yeah, you've got to go explore to really see everything. And I think that that's cool and awesome.
Well, and that excites me because beyond the two attractions and whatever dining and shopping experiences there are, it tells me at least that there are going to be moments for character interaction, and there's too much space there for it to just be like, oh, look at the buildings.
Yeah.
Like, there is going to be, and there's so many droids in the model too.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for droids rolling. Like, I don't care about people. When I go to Star Wars conventions, I don't care about the people. I literally just stop to talk to people's droids.
It creates a world, and it's, I don't want to say, I mean, this comes down to my whole mentality of Mickey Mouse versus Kermit the Frog. When you meet Mickey Mouse, it's like, well, that's not the cartoon I'm used to seeing. When you meet Kermit the Frog, you're like, hey, that's Kermit.
Yeah.
And droids are droids.
Yeah.
When you're meeting R2-D2, you're meeting R2-D2. And that's very exciting.
Even when there's 10 in the same room, I greet everyone. Hey, R2.
Speaking of Star Wars, though, we did get confirmation of this Star Wars, I don't even know if you can call it a hotel.
It's
Star Wars experience.
It sounds out of this world.
But this Star Wars hotel that's coming to Walt Disney World. They did not confirm location, although I think it's safe to say and assume it's going to be...
It's supposed to be adjacent to
the land and the Hollywood studios. The way that they're describing this is pretty much what we've said as far as rumor conversation has been concerned, where this is going to kind of be like a cruise ship where it's an all-inclusive thing where you're there to experience the hotel.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like, hey, I'm going to leave and go to the parks. You could do that, but this is a full... truly immersive experience.
Yeah.
And it's just exciting to me. I mean, this is a different level.
Well, and Bob Chapek even said, like, this could be the start of a new trend.
Yeah, this is like Walt Disney invented theme parks, arguably.
Yeah.
Walt Disney Imagineering invents the 3-day getaway, fully immersive experience. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a murder mystery at a mansion, but instead of it being for one night, it's for days. And you're training to become a Jedi or whatever, and you can dress in costume. It's gonna be crazy.
It's very exciting.
What it made me immediately think of is, like, we're currently in a place where I feel like cosplay is, like, bigger than ever.
Yeah.
And cosplay has become such a huge thing that, like, now it's basically giving people a reason to cosplay for multiple days.
Yeah.
And really take on these roles. And it's exciting. I'm not much of a cosplayer, but I recognize the fact that this is super cool, and I can't even wait to see the price tag on it.
Oh my! Well,
it's gonna be pricey.
You think so?
Yeah, yes, very much so.
I mean, based on their cruises, I feel
cruises are expensive.
They are expensive, but as far as like a staycation, as far as like living in this place, it seems like a...
Here's the one thing.
Yeah.
You could go and not pay to get into the parks and just do this.
You're right.
So you could save money on park tickets, essentially. But it's crazy.
Well, I mean, you don't want to pay for park tickets if you're there for 3
That's what I mean.
days,
If you're there for only the few days, or it's gonna be crazy. But in any case, anything else Star Wars that you wanted to mention? No.
I think that's it.
Okay, so also in parks and resorts, we got, first of all, so excited. I'm so thrilled I was wrong, or at least partially wrong, about Paint the Night.
Yay!
Paint the Night is returning to the Disneyland Resort, but it is not going to Disneyland. It is going to Disney California Adventure.
Yes.
I'm very happy about this. Sorry, Walt Disney Worlders. I'm very selfish about Paint the Night, and I
want it back!
I just truly believe it didn't have a long enough life at the Disneyland Resort. I don't think it deserved to leave yet. I'm happiest saying. Interesting thing happening is the Pixar Play Parade, which is currently at Disney California Adventures, hopping over to Disneyland, which means essentially Soundsational's run must be ending.
Probably.
And Main Street Electrical Parade is closing at the end of August. So this is a little surprising because I feel like which would you rather at Disneyland? Mickey Soundsational or Pixar Play Parade?
Well, I'll just say that it makes sense because of another announcement that they made for Disneyland.
The fireworks show?
The fireworks show.
But it also doesn't make sense because of the announcement they made about Disney California Adventure.
Right.
Where we're getting a Pixar
That's
Pier.
true, yeah.
So you feel like Pixar Play Parade would have fit better in a Pixar Pier, but as you mentioned, so we're obviously shooting at, a lot of you may have heard this stuff already. We're kind of going all over the place, but yes, we just threw you a lot of information. Paint the Night is going to Disney California Adventure. Pixar Play Parade is going to Disneyland. Disneyland is going to have a Pixar fireworks show, and a Paradise Pier is being turned into Pixar Pier over at Disney California Adventure. It's a lot of information.
So that is a lot.
And
they said basically it's a celebration of Pixar.
yeah, now the thing that I find interesting about this with the fireworks show, is fireworks shows are based around music, or songs, I should say. And I feel like Pixar films don't often have songs. Like Monsters, Inc. has recognizable themes, but not a song. Finding Nemo doesn't really have songs.
Personally...
You get like Toy Story songs. I don't know how they're going to create a fireworks show around that unless it's dialogue heavy. And me personally, I'm not crazy about dialogue heavy fireworks shows.
I wouldn't be on board with mostly dialogue, but all of the soundtracks of...
Great soundtracks.
So if they did some kind of medley as far as...
I think songs more when I think fireworks.
Yeah.
I just think I feel like...
Well, with the fireworks show at Disneyland now, it's a lot of attraction themes and stuff.
Attraction songs, meaning lyrics.
No, not necessarily. They have Star Tours and...
Sure, but okay, well... John Williams is its own animal, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like that's
Randy Newman.
Well, he does the songs. That's what I'm thinking. I think it must be a lot of like, you got a friend in me type stuff. But I don't know. I'm just thinking like, what are you going to do with Finding Nemo? Like to me, the part of Magical, which is Finding Nemo themed, was it Magical? No, it was Disneyland Forever.
Yes.
Which had Finding Nemo. No, it was Magical. Whichever, both actually had Nemo. It was always kind of like a lame section because it wasn't great. It was dialogue driven. I don't know. I don't like dialogue driven fireworks shows. So who knows? Maybe they'll make it amazing. But I love Disneyland. Not Disneyland Forever. Remember Dreams Come True.
Yeah.
So, but it's exciting, and I'm sure, of course, projection is going to be. Speaking of projection, totally random tangent here. But I went and saw the 4th of July fireworks at Disneyland.
Yeah.
They used those projectors on Main Street so beautifully for like the grand finale. They turned all of Main Street buildings into like a waving flag. It was red, white, and blue stripes, and just waving.
Awesome.
It was really a powerful
Wow.
effect that they used with those Disneyland Forever projectors. So I'm sure those will be brought into play for.
They showed that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of Pixar coming.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
Which is a totally new overlay for Paradise Pier.
Which I feel like we just did.
I know.
Did we not just do this? Now, they did not mention any new rides or anything.
The concept art looked like it had some of the rides changed based on
See,
IP.
to me, it looked like the games were changed. Like I saw Bing Bong.
Yes.
And to me, that looked like it was going to be one of the Midway games.
Oh,
themed
yeah?
To Bing Bong. I don't know. They didn't get into much detail.
Right.
But it was a surprise. I had never heard anything about this rumor. I did a very, very, very long time ago where it was like, oh, they're going to change it to Pixar Park. But like, I hadn't heard anything about this. I thought this was crazy. Another Pixar thing that I thought was kind of exciting is around Christmas time, one of my favorite places to go for decorations is Cars Land. Like, they really do some crazy decorations at Cars Land.
Yes.
So happy that my favorite holiday will now be represented at Cars Land for Halloween.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
They're doing a whole haunted maze.
No. You just made that up. Although, that's a totally... They could... If they wanted to do a Pixar Halloween maze, it should be the neighbor's backyard in Toy Story.
Sid?
Sid.
Yeah.
Sid's Halloween maze. Don't they do that in like Tokyo or something? I think they might. Know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about the Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
I think that should be cool. So, yeah. What else happened at Parks and Resorts?
We got briefly we got announcement about another ship getting added.
Another cruise ship. We've got 3 cruise line ships coming. I was hoping they would say the name of them. They did not. I am kind of convinced that one's going to be a Pixar ship, one's going to be a Star Wars ship, and one's going to be a Marvel ship.
I'd be cool with that.
would not be surprised if that happened.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Big thing for me
Yeah.
is that Epcot's getting a lot of TLC.
Epcot's getting a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they only went over a few, but it definitely sounded like a major overhaul is coming in the next few years.
Yeah, and they want this stuff done. The stuff that they announced today, they basically said they want done, the Walt Disney World stuff, by the Magic
50th.
Kingdom's 50th anniversary, or Walt
Yeah.
Disney World's 50th, so that's 2021. So that's really, it's just 4 years away. One of the things they mentioned is we're getting a Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot. Now, this is interesting. There are a few things that they announced the good news and left out the bad news, if you
Right.
want to call it that. But some of the blogs released this information that now this August will be your last chance to ride Ellen's Energy Adventure at Epcot. And because it's going to be replaced by a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, very heavily rumored. It's not going to be Mission Breakout, because that would be weird.
Which I'm glad they're going with the different.
Oh god, if they had just done a Mission Breakout copycat, that would have been really bad.
Yeah.
They didn't get into much detail about what it's going to be.
No. But I will say, it is interesting that they push so heavily before they announced any of this. We're keeping to the vision of Epcot.
Yeah.
And then they like a few of the things I was like, yeah, okay, that I guess that fits. And then they're like Guardians. I was like, that in no way fits the vision of Epcot.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the whole space thing, I guess if it's, speaking of space though, they're building this incredible restaurant
Yes.
at Epcot. I don't know exactly where it's going. It's
Adjacent to Mission Space.
Okay, it's adjacent to Mission Space. There we
Yeah.
go. It's basically going to be kind of like a rooftop restaurant
Yeah.
where you'd see a skyline, but it's going to be in space.
Yeah.
So that's kind of awesome.
You're basically floating over Earth as you eat.
That's kind of cool.
But all they're going to serve is astronaut food.
That'd be terrible. And I hope there's not like anti-gravity, because that would be terrible.
my God. You're like floating out of your chair.
That would be terrible.
No.
But the renderings were beautiful for
Yeah.
this. And even I, who honestly not that into space personally, I was kind of blown away by it.
Speaking of Mission Space, we're getting an additional mission for Mission Space.
Yeah.
So now, not only that, but they're redoing
Yeah.
the original one, which
The quality is poor.
yeah.
The ILM is, I don't know if they did the original.
Yeah.
Did they? Do you know?
I believe so. Yeah.
ILM is doing new video for it and a new mission.
Yeah.
So that's pretty epic as well.
Yeah.
I do not ride that ride. I've done it once. I did the wuss version. I'm like, way too claustrophobic for Jeff DePaoli. Never again. And frankly, not interesting enough for me to even want to put myself
Right.
through that. But that's cool. Some other stuff at Epcot. We did not hear anything about Figment staying or
No.
going. Not a word. Nothing about
No.
Inside Out replacing her, which was all rumors. No information about that. But moving to World Showcase,
Yeah.
we did get the confirmation, and the crowd reaction was crazy for this, which surprised me. Ratatouille is coming to Paris.
Yes. I'm excited about this.
Now, the thing that I like about this is this is being built in a backstage area, essentially. So
Yes.
nothing is being removed.
So you don't think that the film will be removed?
I don't think so. I certainly hope not. We need to keep World Showcase what it is. If you want to keep adding IPs, I've come to terms with that. It just can't become the entire thing.
Right.
Is kind of how I feel.
Well, and I will say that made me happy that they were updating the circle vision for China.
Yeah, yes, that was a surprise, and I was like, "Oh, cool! That's great. That's what Epcot's about."
And because they're updating that technology, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw future circle vision movies being updated.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. So I did think we were going to get a new country announcement.
You did?
I really did.
What did you think?
What country?
Yeah.
Spain.
Spain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get that.
Okay.
We didn't. What else is going on at Epcot? Oh, one of the things I'm most excited about Epcot. Now, we did mention, I think it was in last week's episode, I talked about the fact that Siemens dropped out as sponsoring Spaceship Earth and
right.
Illuminations. And so I did have fears that Illuminations was going to go away. Now, they did not confirm whether or not it was staying, but they did mention nighttime spectaculars at Epcot. So either Illuminations is staying or we're going to get a new nighttime spectacular. So that's great news, because I was a little fearful that like Illuminations would go away and nothing would replace it.
Yeah.
You mentioned you noticed something in some of the renderings that reminded you a bit of a show.
Yeah. So they released a concept image of Epcot, a future world overhead, and it looked like there was potentially, it might have been the fountains in Future World, but it also kind of looked like it flowed into, what is that? What is the body of water at?
World Show, Seven Seas Lagoon? No. World Showcase Lagoon, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
Okay. But it looked like they may have some kind of World of Color installation going in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that makes total sense.
I think with that body of water, they could possibly make something more...
even more extravagant.
Well, just something more extravagant.
Oh, yeah.
than
Paradise
World of Color.
Pier's water space is tiny compared to World Showcase Lagoon. I hope I'm calling that the right name. I would just really love the Illuminations musical theme to stick around.
Yeah.
It's like literally my ringtone. I'm obsessed with it. So
it is
It's a
great.
beautiful musical score. I get it. It's been there a long time. If it has to be retired, I understand. But it's a beautiful theme. But, changes coming to Epcot and pretty exciting stuff.
You mentioned our confirmation that there was a nighttime spectacular, and that came through a new hotel announcement.
Yeah, what was this called? It
was Riviera. It was something Riviera. Yeah.
So there's going to be a new hotel coming to Walt Disney World. The thing that I found most interesting, they think they mentioned a restaurant on the top, on the
rooftop restaurant,
where you can see both Magic Kingdom and Epcot
and Hollywood Studios.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Epcot and Hollywood Studios nighttime spectaculars. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super great news. I love that. So. I don't know where they're going to put it. Obviously, somewhere near those two. That's a boardwalk-ish area.
Probably, yeah.
But speaking of Disney's Hollywood Studios, this was another one of those good news, bad news, but let's not talk about the bad news situations. Right. The bad news is, according to some folks on Twitter, I have not confirmed any of this. I literally just stepped off the expo floor, but it came from a pretty good source. What was it? WDW what?
Magic.
WDW Magic, I guess, on Twitter, was saying that the Great Movie Ride is closing this August.
Yep.
That's very... it's not surprising. We've been hearing these rumors for a while. It makes me sad. It makes me very sad to think I will never ride the Great Movie Ride again. That is a centerpiece to Disney's Hollywood Studios for me.
That was probably one of the first attractions, or just one of the most memorable attractions from my childhood.
It's just such a great dark ride with, not projection screens everywhere and stuff. It's so classic and it's so beautiful. And not only are we losing that, but like the fate of okay, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but the fate of the Chinese theater exterior.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know what's going to happen with that. As I mentioned, they kind of skipped over this part. If what I read on Twitter is correct, and this is indeed closing, they skipped over that part. But they did announce that a Mickey Mouse ride,
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway,
it's coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. I'm assuming it's going to take the Great Movie Ride space.
It looks like it needs a lot of space.
So this is a dark ride with projection. They said they've invented new technology that they call 2.5D. So it's not quite 2D, it's not quite 3D, it's 2.5D. From what I saw, it looked like map projection.
It's map projection.
Yeah. So
I have a question for you.
I might have an answer.
Because I knew the rumor was that this could be the Great Movie Ride could be becoming like the Great Mickey Ride, or something where it was more of like Mickey through the years, or like through his film history.
Yeah.
I was a little bit unsure because this is based on the new Mickey Mouse shorts.
I'm not crazy about this.
I'm not crazy about this either because of how Mickey is represented in the parks.
Yeah, I
like the shorts. I find them entertaining. Often I think they're off-brand, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting that this is the Mickey and Minnie and friends, basically. All of the characters are supposed to be in it, but I think it's very interesting that this is the design and the aesthetic they chose to go with.
And also it's an interesting park to put it in.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes more sense in the Magic Kingdom. But I don't. You mentioned you seem to think they're keeping with the movie theme from what we saw. So maybe the Chinese theater will be safe. Maybe it'll become a cartoony version of the Chinese theater.
So the concept of the ride is that you start out, you're watching a new episode, or you're watching one of these Mickey shorts, and then Goofy pulls up in his train, and then the next thing you know, you're boarding this animated train, and you're entering into the animated world of Mickey and Friends.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of potential to be cool, but again, I'm very just because I find these shorts to be really kind of off color and not of the Disney brand. It
seems a little Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
it
is. I mean, it very is. You're basically a human entering Toontown.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be a very impressive ride.
Yeah,
I just great movie ride. To go from a dark ride with animatronics to a projection ride, essentially.
Yeah.
That's a little disappointing. But they seem to promise that this whole 2.5D technology is going to blow our minds. I hope they're right. But yeah, that's, I have mixed feelings about that one.
Me too.
What else happened in Parks and Resorts?
Tron!
Oh yeah, the Tron coaster is coming. The Tron coaster from Shanghai Disneyland, which is an extremely popular attraction there, is coming to the Magic Kingdom and Tomorrowland. Here's the best part. Well, maybe some will disagree, but nothing is going away. It is not replacing the Speedway there. It's basically going kind of next to Space Mountain, and
I think there's
backstage-ish.
As I saw the concept art, I was like, yeah, I guess there isn't anything back there.
Yeah, so that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
And they want that, once again, done by the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a little weird to have those two attractions next to each other, Space Mountain and that. But
it will make Space Mountain feel very dated.
Well, it already does at Walt Disney World. Yeah, that was rumored as well and confirmed now. Anything else at Parks and Resorts?
A couple things real briefly.
Oh, yes.
There's a new theater being built on Main Street, USA at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. It's cool that I like that they went for it's based off of a famous
Kansas,
famous theater, the Willis Wood Theater in Kansas City. So keeping to Walt's hometown and like that aesthetic. I'm interested because this is supposed to be a new show that's going to be debuting here.
Which they didn't mention what the show was. The question I think everybody's having is, where is it going?
Right.
My first gut reaction, although this was not confirmed by any means, they did not tell us. My gut reaction was like Tony's and
it's the Opera House.
Yeah.
It looks like it was going to replace the Opera House.
Yeah, which is where you meet and greet Mickey now.
Yeah.
And at the Magic Kingdom and Tony's restaurant, perhaps.
It's also just very interesting to me because...
Which technically isn't Main Street. That's Town Square.
That's true. That's true.
So, I think they specifically said Main Street, right?
Yes. So, Main Street, USA.
So we could be 1,000% wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
It'll be interesting because this will be really close to entering the park. I mean,
yes.
So to have a show that front and center, like as soon as you enter the park, is kind of unusual.
My first thought was like, can we put a Newsy show in there? I feel like that fits on Main Street USA. Like
they come streaming out of the theater. Come
on, sees every day, man. I think that would be great.
Another new thing coming to Walt Disney World is the Skyliners.
Yes, so the gondola rumors connecting. What is it? It's connecting it's Pop Century,
Caribbean Beach Resort, Hollywood Studios,
Epcot, and there was one other hotel. Was it All Star Animation?
Maybe.
Something like that. So these gondolas, giving you a bird's eye view of Walt Disney World. First of all, I know family members of mine that would definitely never use these for transportation due to fear of heights.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people will want to use it. I'm sure most people will. I have this thing about seeing Disney parks from above.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you can see backstage areas.
You can see backstage. You can see
Now,
ugly rooftops.
I don't know how much of the parks you'll actually be able to see, because at least with Epcot, it takes you directly to the
monorail?
The international gateway.
Okay, so my other question is, how much of this are you going to see from the parks?
Oh.
I just have a thing about, like, for me, I always go back to, and I wholeheartedly agree with this, Walt's idea of, like, when you're in my Magic Kingdom, when you're in Disneyland, I don't want you to see the outside world.
Yeah.
And I get it, like, all of Walt Disney World is technically not the outside world, right? But it is.
Yeah.
There's backstage areas, there's ugly rooftops, there's air conditioners on the rooftops. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that will be seen that I don't necessarily want to see.
Right.
I guess I could ride it and close my eyes if I want. But I don't know. It just takes me a bit out of it. More new transportation is a great thing.
Yeah.
In fact, they mentioned a new, basically, private car service.
It's an Uber. It's Disney's Uber.
And it's called Minivan.
Yeah.
And they're dressed to look like Minnie Mouse. So it's cute. And was there anything Transpo related that they mentioned? No. I thought they were going to mention, like, the party bus or something.
The party bus?
Yeah, they had, like, a test party bus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That seems dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know.
That does not seem like on brand.
Yeah.
A couple other things. There's a Marvel hotel coming to Disneyland Paris.
Dude, this is cool. Okay, so when I went to Disneyland Paris, I just got excited about something Marvel.
I know. I'm like, who are you, Jeff DePaoli?
No, I stayed at the New York Hotel at Disneyland Paris.
Oh, I didn't.
So there's a hotel called New York. I'm making they're calling it the New York Hotel Marvel Museum or something like that.
I think so.
So I'm assuming that they're retheming their existing New York hotel to base around Marvel, which I actually think is a really cool way of updating it.
Yeah.
I thought that was very smart. So I like that.
And then we got updates on Toy Story Land and the Avengers themed area that's coming to DCA.
DCA, we were confirmed not only an Avengers ride, but a Spider-Man ride. Which is like, of Marvel, Spider-Man's my favorite.
Yeah.
Isn't
he everybody's?
Yeah, by the way, speaking of, what's his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland was there today at live action panel, which you didn't go to, unfortunately.
I know.
But can we jump to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
We are rambling about
I'm
theme parks.
sorry. Well, that's one
know.
of our favorite things. So.
I know. Theme parks, live action was crazy. I got there at 5 a.m., barely got in.
You're a nut.
Barely.
I know.
Got in. But...
brief tangent, because this is one of the things that I was really upset about.
Yes.
So apparently at the animation panel, and we experienced this a little bit, I think, we got put into the same line as a bunch of other people, or they just kind of like shuffled people together. And so apparently enough people complained after the animation panel that
There was a riot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I wasn't there. From what I'm hearing, it was a bad situation because this wasn't so here's where it comes down in my mind. If you're late to something because you didn't show up early enough, no matter how ridiculously early it is, even if you're late to that because other people beat you, that's on you, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want it enough to wait longer than other people. The problem was, which has happened before in the past, and this really needs to stop, is people who were waiting longer than other people didn't get in.
Yeah.
And that cannot happen at these. People get it. There are going to be long lines. They're willing to wait, but they are not willing to wait and be, cut by people who didn't wait as long. And it's because the people that are working, nobody has all the information. You hear different things from different people. This is a major problem with this expo that it's happened in the past. It's my biggest complaint. So I understand why this wristband thing happened for these people that didn't get an animation, because it was Disney's fault. This wasn't like, they just didn't arrive early enough. So not only did they get wristbands, and this was about 2,000 people, which is a quarter of what fits in the hall. They got guaranteed wristbands to the live action. They also got free park tickets.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do right, but it really sucked for people who were trying to get into live action.
While we're on the subject, I think you spoke to the issue really well, is that Disney is at a point where they have done everything in-house for all of the expos.
Yeah.
This is a Disney company production. So they're bringing in their own cast members.
They do hire some that aren't, because you'll notice some of them have stickers on as opposed to name tags.
But it's mostly, it's
a lot of cast
members, and they employ some like temp people to come in. They're at a point. This is large convention. This is a large convention now.
It's their 5th one, though. There are some lessons that should have been learned and fixed by now that haven't been.
This is what I'm getting at, is that maybe they shouldn't be doing this in-house anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
They need to hire one of these outside vendors who does like Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration. They need to bring in somebody who does this year-round, every year. I mean, 2 years, of course, like, they're hiring new people. Yeah. People go away. The lessons obviously aren't remaining intact because because everything, especially queue-wise, and with cast members not knowing what's going on, and we got told wrong information.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's my biggest complaint. I'm always like, why isn't there, like, there should be a classroom for every employee that morning. It's like, here's what's going on. But
that's why it's at this point, don't cheap out. Don't just bring in your Disneyland cast members and expect them to understand how a convention works.
It's a very good point. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say, you need people who go from convention to convention, do this every convention. Yeah. And have a system of communication in place.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet earlier today that basically said, I think D23 Expo may have outgrown the Anaheim Convention Center. And somebody wrote back and said, they didn't outgrow the Anaheim Convention Center. There's plenty of space. Yeah. They don't have employees who know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And I was like, you know what, you're right. Space is not the issue. It's organization.
Because there's plenty of empty space still left in the convention center. Yeah. There's 2 other floors. Yeah. And I haven't gone upstairs this year at all yet.
I know. So yes, unfortunately, you did not make it into live action. I will say,
I followed as much as I could.
This has been a very emotional weekend for me. I've like cried at everything. It started at Disney Legends with like Oprah Winfrey, who. A goddess, and then Oprah Winfrey was a Disney legend, and she was talking about how the night before she ate at Steakhouse 55 alone. I'm like, I would have eaten with you. Oh my god, it was so sad. Wow. But Julie Taymor, who won, who's the director of The Lion King on Broadway, like told a beautiful story about a family who had tickets to The Lion King. I'll make this very short and quick, but their young daughter passed away, and they were supposed to go, the daughter, the son, and the 2 parents, and then a month later they had the tickets to The Lion King after she passed away, and they were like, we're not going to go, and the little boy wanted to go, and they were convinced, okay, we'll take our son, even though our daughter was supposed to be with us. It's a weird situation, but they go to the show, and there's the whole "He Lives in You" stuff between Mufasa and Simba. Yeah, and apparently, like, audibly, the little boy said something to his parents like, she lives in us now, doesn't she? Or something like that. And I'm like, I've actually just got chills right now telling the story. Yeah. I was like crying. And then like they had this big Lion King production number at the end of the show. And I was just like, and they performed that song. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
my gosh.
It was an emotional morning. And of course, dealing with Carrie Fisher becoming a Disney legend, that was emotional as well. So here's something I've learned. You do not need to wake up early for Disney Legends. You will get it. It does not hit capacity. Yeah. This is now the second, or I've gone to all of them.
They were laying people in up to like 30 minutes before it ended.
And it was not full. Yeah. It was, and so that is just something to keep in mind. I always wake up early because I'm like, no, I should be there. I should be there early. You don't need to. Disney Legends, I would not be surprised if eventually it moves to the arena, which is half the size, about 4,000 people, or if it stops being a public thing, because it just doesn't seem to be that popular, or maybe there's just too much other more popular stuff going on. But I did want to mention it briefly. But back to the live action thing.
Live action you should get to early.
Yes, extremely early, as earlier than anything else.
Yeah.
But I will say, as you know, for me, it's more about the Disney live action stuff, more so than the Marvel and Star Wars, but it was all very exciting. I think my highlight was probably Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay.
I am not a diehard Mary Poppins fan.
I know this about you.
I love the music of Mary Poppins, but I don't know, the film, I didn't watch it as a child. I don't have that nostalgia thing with it. I don't dislike it, but it's just not my thing so much. But Mary Poppins Returns looks so good. Emily Blunt looks fantastic in it. I mean, we've got Dame Angela Lansbury, we've got Dick Van Dyke, we've got Meryl Streep, we've got Lin-Manuel Miranda, like beautiful, beautiful stuff. The director Gary Marshall came out with Emily Blunt, and so on the side, they opened these curtains, and back there was Mark Shaman, who wrote the music for this new film, with a full orchestra.
Wow.
And they started playing the music from the film, which I will say, very reminiscent of Mary Poppins, not in like a copycat way, but more of a you got the right spirit way.
Nice.
And then they started showing clips from the film. And there's this moment where you see Lin-Manuel Miranda and one of the children grab the kite out of the trash, and it's the old one that was fixed up with the newspaper and has the old what do they call it, the sash or something as the tail.
Yeah.
And they go and they're running with the kite, and it goes up in the air, and it goes up high up into the clouds, so you no longer see it. And then the clouds part. I'm literally getting chills right now thinking of this. The clouds part, and you see the kite, and then you see Mary Poppins floating down, and it was just like, oh my God, what a moment!
Wow,
it was so beautiful.
I'm living through you right now, Jeff.
Did you get chills when I was telling
Yes.
it? Did you really?
Yes. Yeah.
I literally just got like overwhelmed. Speaking of this, it's so beautiful. I'm very excited about this movie. Is all I can say. I really wanted to like watch Mary Poppins, then Saving Mr. Banks, and then go see Mary Poppins Returns.
Nice.
Wait,
why in that order?
It can be in the other order. I don't care. Whatever. I can be Saving Mr. Banks and then Mary Poppins, then Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay, all right.
That works.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Saving Mr. Banks is kind of like the prequel. So.
Yes. No, I gotcha. So that was beautiful.
I have to be selfish. You skipped over Wrinkle in Time.
I loved, listen, it's Oprah.
Yeah.
So they brought a huge amount of cast on stage. Oprah, Reese Witherspoon. Mindy was there. Mindy Kaling?
Mindy Kaling, yeah.
And
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine was there.
Yeah.
People love Chris Pine, man. It's funny because I don't get so excited about like them bringing out celebrities. One thing I will say that they've done so much better. I feel like in the past, like literally it's been, and so-and-so's here. Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody. Like
Yeah.
that used to be it.
Yeah.
They are spending a lot of time with the actors on stage, actually having conversations.
Yeah.
And it's great. And they're bringing out the directors and the producers. And so that's wonderful. Wrinkle in Time looks beautiful. Oprah looks fantastic in it.
You're just saying that because she's Oprah,
Because she's
right?
Oprah, yeah. But she does. She looks fantastic. No, I don't know the book.
Right.
And excuse me. I don't know if I'll read the book before I see it. I kind of feel like I should see it and then read the book. Because, books are always better.
Well, and I think they've adapted it a lot.
Okay.
So it's different.
But yeah, the best part of Wrinkle in Time, though, is I had my Oprah moment. Now, I never got to attend the Oprah Winfrey Show shot in Chicago, and I never went to a taping. But she had her... You get a poster, you get a poster, you get a poster, everybody gets a poster! Like, moment. Like, she did her Oprah thing.
That's great.
And it was, as a Oprah nerd, it was perfect. I loved it. So that was a great moment. The new Nutcracker that they're doing, the Nutcracker spin, is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the Nutcracker.
Yeah, and that's
now, did you see any of these trailers online? Like, they were...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, like Nutcracker is not, I agree. It's not one of my favorite movies. It seems like it's funny too, because I knew this was in production and I think at least one other studio has a rival Nutcracker production going on. So, it's kind of like the dual Jungle Book movies. And obviously once Disney gets their version out, nobody will be able to compete.
Yeah, right. So the thing that excites me most about this Nutcracker is, although I'm not a huge fan of the story or the ballet, I love the music.
Oh, yes.
And so this score with a full orchestra is going to, like, I feel like the soundtrack is going to be my favorite part of this movie.
Cool cast, too.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's in it. Who else?
Keira Knightley?
Keira Knightley, yes, yeah. So there's that. And then something that I have such mixed feelings on, but once again, like, made me very emotional, was live action Lion King.
This is the one that I'm actually sad that I missed.
Because they didn't release this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you've seen the cartoon,
I heard it's like shot for
shot for shot, the opening of Circle of Life. And I think Disney knows they can't just make the same movie. I guess Cinderella kind of did. But it looks beautiful. Once again, I don't call this live action. This is not live action to me. This is a movie created on a computer. It's as animated as a Pixar movie, in my opinion. But that's the term they use, live action. It was just, kind of, it was beautiful. It gave me the feels, man. So that was great. I think that was that all the Disney?
No, they made a bunch of announcements. Mulan's in pre-production.
Yep.
Dumbo is shooting in London.
Tim Burton, which is great. Yeah.
They gave some casting announcements for Aladdin, which is funny because
I am so upset about this.
It's funny because literally yesterday I saw news going around that Disney can't find authentic cast members for their Aladdin movie. Yeah. The internet was all upset. And then today it's like, oh no, they did cast the leads. It's like, oh, well, everybody got their panties in a wad for no reason.
Two unknowns for Jasmine and Aladdin.
That's right.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, Will Smith is the genie. I am not excited about this.
Well, they've had
honestly, it might deter me from seeing the film.
It's going to be hard enough to follow up Robin Williams.
Yeah, they can't replace him, which is why they were smart to not go in the direction of him. I don't know. I just don't. Will Smith does not excite me.
No.
I'm gonna have to see some trailers and stuff before I make that decision. But I don't know. That was definitely like biggest bummer.
You didn't know that was coming?
I had heard it, and then I heard it kind of went away.
Well, no, I knew because he's been shopped around at Disney for a while. He was going to be in Dumbo. So I think they were trying to find something he could be in, and this is not the role that I...
Should have been a Marvel movie. That way I didn't have to watch it. But yeah, I don't know. That doesn't
Was there any other Disney live-action adaptations that... No, I think that was...
No, that was a Mulan, Aladdin, Lion King. Oh, they did mention Jungle Cruise is happening with The Rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dumbo.
You know what? I would love to see more of the attraction adaptations than these animated remakes.
Yeah, I think you have more chances for change with the ride adaptation, because obviously you need to develop so much more story.
You get a more original story, and Dumbo I'm sure will be interesting, but and I am a diehard Tim Burton fan, but if I'm being
getting
honest,
more and more intrigued by Dumbo. The video they showed, like the beyond concept art, they were showing set pieces and stuff. I love old timey circus. Like that's a period in history I find fascinating. I just like the P.T. Barnums of the world. I find it a fascinating time in entertainment.
I like the cast.
Yeah,
I'm a Danny DeVito fan.
Yeah,
so.
Danny DeVito, Michael Keaton. We've got the Batman Returns cast and
Colin Farrell, right?
Is he in it?
I think
so.
Yeah,
maybe. I can't remember.
So yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah. Let's move on to Star Wars. Yeah. They brought out a ton of the cast, including Mark Hamill, of course, who became a Disney legend the day before.
Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations. I know you're listening. Can I tell you, Mark Hamill feels like one of the coolest guys. I love how much of a nerd he is.
Oh, he's...
as much as us. And the level of gratitude seems to be through the roof. Yeah. Like, he recognizes how amazing his life is. Yeah. And I to me, that's very appealing. Yeah. I like that a lot about him. But yeah, nothing too surprising. We didn't get a new trailer. We got like a behind-the-scenes video. Which was good.
It was really cool. And I'm a big creature aliens fan, especially when they're done practically. So
Yes.
seeing the behind the scenes, I was like, oh, all these new practical aliens and creatures. Like, this is going to be awesome.
So that comes out this Christmas. So that's crazy. And then they briefly went, past the whole Han Solo thing.
They don't need to sell those movies, though,
It's true. I mean, they don't need to sell Marvel either. So Marvel was after that. And, I mean, as our regular listeners and viewers know, I'm not a Marvel fan. But I will tell you, I am very impressed and have a boatload of respect for what they've done.
Yeah.
As far as creating that universe. I think they said next year is their 10-year anniversary.
10 years,
and it's kind of like culminating this in Avengers
Infinity War.
There we go. It's impressive. It's especially impressive when they do what they did where they brought everybody out on stage. We got Tom Holland.
Yeah.
My boy, Spider-Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. was there.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Was Chris Evans there?
I don't think Chris Evans. No, Chris Evans was not.
Chadwick Boseman was there.
The Hulk was.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Benedict Cumberbatch, which was blown earlier by, I think, Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, really?
She was up on stage for A Wrinkle in Time. I think it was Reese who said this. And she's like, oh my God, this is so crazy. D23 is great. She's like, Benedict Cumberbatch was in the green room. And I was like, oh shit. And the crowd went crazy. And I was like, she was not supposed to say that. Yeah, that was kind of funny. But yeah, like they had a massive amount of Marvel actors on that stage, and like to see that was kind of like, wow, you've done something amazingly special here, and they I love I really enjoyed the new Spider-Man movie, and I love that they're working peacefully with Sony.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of because they have to.
They're making Sony a ton of money.
They are,
so.
but here's the thing that I love about D23 Expo is people kind of expect this whole, it's only going to be Disney. And of course, it's only Disney stuff. But they recognize, like when they introduce the actors, like Laura Dern is in Star Wars. And they brought her out, and the director of Star Wars, I'm sorry, what's his name?
Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson was like, I feel like we should hum the Jurassic Park theme. And Laura Dern is like, they recognize, even Alan Horn, like they recognize there are other studios. It's not like they put this blind eye to it, and they celebrate them. And I think that's always lovely.
Well, it's fine because they're winning. Those studios. Yeah, exactly. None of those studios do as well.
No, but I think it's like, I don't know. It's
playful competition, and even with with Marvel and DC, the fans are adamantly against each other, but the filmmakers are always like, it's all fun, it's all films and comic books.
Yeah, so in any case, I'm very impressed by what they've done. I do question what are they going to do after Avengers Infinity War.
Things are going to get weird.
But like, how do you top that?
Oh, things are going to get no, I'm not just speculating.
Like weird
in they're getting like, they're going to do some like more Guardians of the Galaxy style, like things are going to get like They have the
blueprint.
No. It's not even they don't have the blueprint. They have the golden touch that now they can just like make they can make whatever they want, and like people are gonna go see it because it's a Marvel.
People
film.
will go see it, but that only lasts so long.
Right.
That only lasts so long. So I don't know. I think that's gonna be a tough act to follow.
It's gonna be insane.
They seem to know what they're doing, but as we've seen it with Pixar, like Pixar was hit, and now like they're a little bit on the going down, whereas Walt Disney Animation's going up. So like we all looked at Pixar as the studios like they can never fail.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, listen, they've never failed,
right.
But the success has definitely dwindled.
Yeah.
So I feel like MCU. I just called it the MCU.
Yes, you did. Oh my gosh, Jeff.
I've been I've been.
Who
paying
are
attention.
you?
I've been paying attention.
Okay.
Spider-Man, just did it.
Well, I think you.
I love that Tom Holland was there. That excited me. I really.
I feel like you wouldn't have been that excited if you hadn't just seen Spider-Man.
He's no, I think he's great. Spider-Man was great. I really liked it.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he was great. I've seen all the Spider-Man movies. I just like Spider-Man.
I think you provide a good segue. Speaking of Pixar and Disney films, this is
Walt Disney Animation.
This is usually my favorite panel of the expo.
Sure.
And while there was some great stuff to come out of the animation panel, this expo, it was definitely not the way I wanted to kick off my weekend. It just wasn't.
Did you not get in?
No, I got in, but it just was. It was very deflated.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wreck-It Ralph 2 really shocked me.
Wreck-It Ralph 2, the scene they showed us was amazing.
Amazing, but shocking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've all heard by now. We see a scene. Of course, you all know Ralph breaks the internet. So he's in the internet, and the very funny joke where they're like, what is it? Penelope's teaching him the internet, right?
Well, no, they meet a new character named Yes, and she's basically an algorithm that figures out trends. And so they're trying to figure out how to make Ralph go viral. Like, he wants to become the next big thing. Mm-hmm. So she takes them to the one place where nerds of all kinds and jocks and just every demographic in the world. But they got
very specific. They were like, no, like through our search engines, we can find people who like Star Wars as well as superheroes, the Golden Girls, and
yes, I forgot the Golden Girls. Yeah,
and they're like, it's a place called ohmydisney.com.
Yes,
so they go to ohmydisney.com, and long story short, Penelope ends up backstage because she wants to meet the princesses, and we see the princesses in
glorious 3D
and backstage, essentially.
Yeah,
we see them kind of lounging around, and it's a hilarious scene, and it kind of like it breaks down the princesses and makes them human.
Yeah,
which is something I can't believe they're allowing to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think of Cinderella as like lounging around in PJs type of thing.
Yeah,
and we kind of get this now. The cool thing about this is that all of the princesses whose original voice artists are still alive are doing the voices for the film, and most of them came out on stage. That was the highlight of Walt Disney Animation Panel for me. Really cool to see, Jodie Benson, Paige O'Hara, that's all of them.
Yeah.
So cool. Hilarious scene. Can't believe they're doing it, though.
Yeah. And to top the scene off, of course, their handler is C-3PO.
Yes, which was like so weird. That was bizarre.
It was so great.
It's a wonderful scene. I do have mixed feelings about it because I'm kind of like, you can't do that to the princesses, and even the vocal performances, even though it was the original artist, seemed a bit heightened, like they weren't quite themselves.
Yeah.
It's ballsy, is what I have to say. It's crazy. So that happened.
It was interesting. It's always interesting, especially in that situation, though, when they brought out all the voice actresses, because it was kind of like, I get your filling time now, and
what else happened to Walt Disney Animation?
To start it off, very lackluster. Disney Toon Studios.
Oh yeah,
was John Lasseter sets it up as like they're reinventing themselves and they're figuring out how to become a new or like be their own studio. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, Disney Toon Studios are they're the studio that made all the Tinkerbell movies. They made Planes and Planes Fire and Rescue. So here he's setting it up like they're gonna reinvent themselves. I'm like, cool. What could they possibly be doing? Like, I'm actually excited about this.
I've got the answer for you.
What is it, Jeff?
Planes 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was just very like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, okay. And it feels so underutilized that they have this other studio. They have obviously very talented animators.
Yeah.
And they're just using them to make Planes movies.
Yeah, the thing that surprised me is it's going to theaters.
Yeah, well, the first Planes went to theaters as well.
Yeah, but then the second didn't.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it's... Planes 3 is happening.
Yeah.
What else? Now, oh my God, animation was the first panel I did. I feel like I'm not remembering anything.
Before Ralph was introduced, they did Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
Yeah, so where Josh Gad came out and sang a song from it, although I think part of it was lip synced. I shouldn't say that.
It was incredibly on time. It was incredibly in sync. Yeah. So he either did an incredible job, or like you said, they were cutting him in and out with pre-recorded material.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I actually think Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
Yeah,
it's going to be before Coco in theaters. It's 21 minutes short.
Yeah,
which frankly is like an ABC television special. So I'm a little surprised.
That's what they originally announced it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
It was going to be a holiday special.
Yeah,
so
maybe they'll do both. I don't know.
Yeah,
but But yeah, it looks fun.
Looks cute.
New music, 4 new songs, I think they said. Speaking of Coco, though, Coco looks fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited.
They showed a good portion of it. I love the idea of this movie. I think it looks great, and I'm excited for like an original Pixar.
Yeah.
Again, they did close the performance with a live mariachi type performance where the actor, what is his name?
Benjamin Bratt.
Benjamin Bratt came out with the little boy who plays, I can never remember his name. Whatever, the main character's name. They came out and sang a song from the film. The last note of that was definitely lip synced because you could hear the glitch in the audio kick over from live mic to pre-recorded final high last note, which was awkward. But I'm excited, very much excited about Coco. What else was there?
After Olaf, they went on to talk about Frozen 2.
Yes.
We thought they were going to give a name, and they definitely did not.
Yeah.
I don't think
but it's not going to be called Frozen 2. They're going to think of another name for it. I'm really, truly blanking. My mind has gone to so much.
After Frozen 2 was Ralph. And then... They didn't talk about any more Disney animation, did they?
Did they not?
No.
Then they went on to, Pixar was Coco.
Yeah.
And, Incredibles 2 stuff.
Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
That was right after they showed some animation tests. They showed some very early animation, but they showed like a whole scene.
Yeah.
Of
the baby has
Jack fighting with a raccoon, which looks
very
like
funny.
It's going to be very funny.
Yeah.
After that, they announced the untitled Pixar film.
Yes, which looks really good.
Yeah, it's set in a suburban fantasy world.
This made me teary-eyed as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the director story
the director came out and told a story about how he and his brother, their dad died when they were very young, and they did not know what he sounded like because there was no recording of his voice. And then they recently found a recording of his voice, and it was like 2 words or something.
Yeah.
And that was all that they had of their dad. And like, so that is the that was the kernel of an idea for this story, and it takes place in a suburban world as we know it, but it's like with gnomes and
it's basically it's a magical world. It's all fantasy characters, no humans. And basically, over time, they all got so lazy, so they invented things to do what magic could do.
Yeah.
So they have ovens and fridges and cars, and so there's very little magic still being done. And so the story is 2 brothers who go on a quest, basically, through this suburban world to... I got the feeling it was to obtain the magic or to... find magic that could bring their father back to them for one day.
Yeah. I think it looks great.
I think it looks very
This
cool.
was Pixar, yes?
This was Pixar.
Yeah.
And,
it excited me. I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The only other thing that I can remember is the most disappointing news.
Which was what?
Which is that John Lasseter came out to talk about
goodness. I can't
Toy
believe I
Story
forgot this.
4, and I remember... One of the most exciting things for me at the last expo at the animation panel was when he said, I am returning. After Toy Story 3, I said this was the end of this story, and then I had an idea. And he told such a personal story. This was his story that he wanted to tell, and he was coming back to direct Toy Story 4. So at this animation panel, he breaks the news that his young co-director, Josh Cooley, who hasn't directed any feature for Pixar before, is now being promoted to be the full-time director, and John is going to be executive producer, which, honestly, he's the executive producer of every animated film. This
is a gut punch, yeah.
This was really... and I told you, right as this happened, the last time that they changed directors and gave it to like a young newcomer was The Good Dinosaur.
Yep.
So the only difference to me, and the biggest most important difference to me, is that Good Dinosaur, original story, you know what, they didn't capture lightning in a bottle, that's fine. This is Toy Story. you're really going to. I mean, this is the characters that started the company.
Well, I mean, the Toy Story trilogy, as it is currently, is so perfect that like the idea of even a Toy Story 4 is scary.
Yeah.
So the thing that made it less scary is John Lasseter's coming back home.
Exactly.
So it's a scary thing to think that he's no longer part of it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I still have faith, but I'm scared, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We have been rambling for a very long time. So
we're sorry, guys.
No, I'm going to wrap it up here. I know this was a little bit unconventional for us. Normally, it's a lot more organized in our conversation, even though we often go on tangents. But I'm going to stop it here. We talked about the big panels, essentially, and maybe on future episodes, I'll talk about the show floor more and such. But I'm going to stop this for now, or unless there's anything you really want to add in.
No, that's it.
Cool. I had so much fun at the expo. It's only been 2 days. Still got a day to go. Mencken tomorrow. Yeah, which hopefully I'll see. We'll see. We'll see what.
You've seen the show.
The schedule is so crazy, but it's been so much fun. And Aaron, it's been a blast sharing some of it with you.
You too. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. For so many people, going on a Disney vacation requires years of saving. So the last thing you want after scrimping and saving is added stress on top of that. So why not make it easier for yourself and let our Season 4 sponsor, Adventures Out There Travel, do the heavy lifting for you? Perhaps you're planning for your first Disney vacation and you're feeling overwhelmed because there's so much to do and see. Well, don't worry. Adventures Out There Travel has you covered. Their agents specialize in making suggestions based on the type of activities you tell them you want to experience. Whether heading to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or on a Disney cruise, Adventures Out There Travel can help you out. Go to adventuresouttheretravel.com for your free, no-obligation quote. Hope you guys enjoyed our thoughts and opinions on the news to come out of the D23 Expo. As I mentioned before, there was so much news. It's impossible for us to get to all of it. We'll be sure to talk more about the news in future episodes of Disney Coast to Coast. But for now, that means it's trivia time! Hey folks, today for trivia time, I have Banks with me from Attractions Magazine. Hello Banks, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Of course, you are with attractionsmagazine.com, which is a great place to go for all of your themed entertainment needs. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're primarily located in Orlando. That's our primary focus, but over the past year and a half or so, we've expanded our reach to around the country and the world.
Very nice. So it's very easy to remember, attractionsmagazine.com. Today we are here to talk about some Disney theme park openings. That is today's subject for trivia time. So Banks, why don't you hit me with a question?
Okay. All right. So theme park openings. Obviously we have, domestically, we have 6 theme parks. Name one opening day attraction from each of the 6 theme parks that is still around today.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so let's start with Disneyland. We have opening day attractions still around today. Peter Pan.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That'll work. Let's go Disney California Adventure. Opening day attractions still around today. I'm going to go with Grizzly River Run, California Screamin'. Those work.
Yeah. A lot of them still there, yep.
Okay, let's go to the Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, we've got opening day. Let's see. Hall of Presidents is opening day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Epcot, opening day, Spaceship Earth.
Of course.
Disney's Hollywood Studios, opening day, very few of them. Great Movie Ride.
It's the only one that's still around that was opening day. Good job.
Crazy. And then for Disney's Animal Kingdom, opening day, Dinosaur was there, but it was called Countdown to Extinction.
Right.
I think It's Tough to Be a Bug was their opening day, right?
It was. Yep.
Yeah. So there we go. Wow, that's
there
really that's
awesome.
really nerdy to know.
I thought I'd throw you on the Hollywood Studios one, considering Great Movie Ride is the only one that's still around that was there on opening day.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I went to Disney MGM Studios for my trivia question for you, and I found some fun factoids we can talk about after the trivia, but I was actually going to ask you, what were the opening day attractions available at Disney MGM Studios, now Disney's Hollywood Studios?
Okay, so obviously Great Movie Ride.
Yep.
So just talked about that. really reaching back in my mind here. Of course, you have the old the studio backlot tour. That was primarily like the big attraction because it took up many hours of time for guests.
Do you know the official name of it back then? Because
yeah, that's right. It had a different name. It closed as the studio backlot tour, but I always thought it was just like the Disney MGM Studios backlot tour, things like that.
No, it was called the Backstage Studio Tour.
Backstage Studio Tour. Okay.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, is probably where the name Backstage Bistro came from, right?
Most likely, that sounds about right. Yeah. Now I feel bad because I worked at that attraction. That was my baby.
Did you?
I love that. Yeah, I worked there for a year back in 2009.
Were you one
at the water tank?
Oh, at the water tank. Cool.
Yeah, I was like a director and a helper there, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that must have been heartbreaking to see all that go.
It was. I mean, I've always thought that. Even back then, I was like, all right, this attraction, it's ever since they got rid of Residential Street, I was like, it's time for this to go. And but it's still hard. It was still hard to see it go. But some cool things are coming. So
for sure.
Let's see, what else? Monster Sound Show, I believe, was opening day, wasn't it?
Very good. Monster Sound Show, yeah. That was the one, I believe, with Chevy Chase, right?
Yeah, Chevy Chase and Martin Short.
Yeah, and they had a very similar thing at Universal when Universal opened, I think with Harry and the Hendersons and multiple other things through the years where it was the thing where you're the Foley artists, essentially.
Yeah. And I think, was Murder, She Wrote part of that, too, at Universal? I'm not
I think
sure
that was separate. That was
separate, yeah.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about, though, because they did have a Foley section of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so Superstar Television Live, I believe that was an opening day.
Very good. See, I have no memory of that.
I remember going there as a kid. My first trip was in 92, and I also went back in 93. And I remember Superstar Television so well because as a kid growing up loving movies, loving TV shows, I always wanted to be in that show, but I was too young to do any of the stuff. And then when I got older, of course, it moved over to like Doug Live and other things. But I really wanted to do that. And that's something I really think would be popular to bring back these days, especially with all the TV shows and movies today.
Yeah. I bet anything's better than Frozen Sing-Along.
My kid enjoys that, but yeah, I can understand. PC.
So there's one left. You got Great Movie Ride, you got Backstage Studio Tour, you got Monster Sound Show, you got Superstar Television, and then there is...
I'm going through my mind here. It wasn't the animation tour, was it?
It was. Yep.
Yes, okay.
It was the magic...
I was trying to think...
Yeah, magic of Disney animation.
Sorry, sorry, talking over you. I was trying to think it was either Magic of Disney Animation or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Playground, but that actually came, I think, in 1990 or 91.
That came, I believe it was December of 90, I think, was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. There really wasn't that much at the park on opening day.
No, there was not. Or maybe Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was December of 89. I remember
I think it was that either that year or the year after.
The thing that surprised me, that I always assumed that Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular was there opening day, but was not. Like, it had only opened a few months after park opening. I mean, it really, what it comes down to was the race to beat Universal. And it was clearly not ready to open, but it certainly did not dissuade the crowds because as of, I think it was 9:15 a.m. on opening day, they had to close the parking lot. It was
capacity.
Yeah, it was a massive success opening day, and
I feel like both Disney and Universal kind of rushed their parks to get them open quick because even Universal had some issues, especially with Jaws.
Yeah,
the first version.
They had massive issues over at Universal as well. With Jaws was the worst, and Kong had problems. Earthquake had problems. Basically, if it was a ride and not a show, there were problems. But do you have any idea? Just a little bonus question. Any idea what admission price was for Disney MGM Studios?
Oh my God.
Opening day.
You know what? All right, I'm going to take a wild shot here. I'm going to say $89. $52.
$29.
$29.
Isn't that amazing?
Jeez. I mean, it makes sense with the such little offerings and the fact that, like, I guess what people called it was a half-day park at opening.
Well, I don't know. When it opened, I'm sure lines were long, especially if it was at capacity. And if these things were, the Backstage Studio Tour, I believe, was 2 hours, I've heard.
Yeah, 2 or 3, yeah. Because you have the tram and then all through the sound stages, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy to think, but I have a place in my heart for Disney MGM Studios. I really love it, and I know it's going through a lot of changes, but even now people are always like, it's a half-day park. I can spend a good amount of time there, more so than even Animal Kingdom, although not since Pandora, of course. But,
right. No, I would agree there. People always ask me my favorite park, and especially nowadays when I say that Hollywood Studios is my favorite park, people look at me like, really? And I'm like, it really is. Like working there at the backlot tour, working at Honey, doing the Osborne Lights, and just as a kid loving that park, and Tower of Terror being my favorite attraction of all time. Like those things combined will always make that my favorite park. And I know it's going through a bit of a rough patch right now, but come 2019, I guarantee you that park's going to be better than ever.
Yeah, before we go, do you have any quick stories about being a cast member at that park? Any funny stories?
Okay, I got one. Yeah. So working the water tank at the backlot tour, there's a point in the script where you're talking to one of the volunteers, the one that's going to sit in the engine room and have the 1,000 gallons of water dumped on them. Mm-hmm. You point to the bottom of the ship and you say, your scene's going to take place down there in the bottom of our PT boat, which luckily for you, we've recreated up here above water. Well, before I could get to that second part, the guest decided, I have to go down there, and decided to jump into the water and try to get to the bottom of the PT boat.
No.
And, of course, E-stop, dump them out. And, yeah, that was a fun little moment. Apparently, it's not the first time that's happened.
Do you think it was somebody who knew the script and was just wanting to play a joke?
I honestly, it's been almost like 8 years now. I can't remember. I believe they were a foreign tourist, so I'm not sure if it was a language issue or it could be someone that did know it. But if they knew it, they would know they'd be kicked out of the park after an incident like that. So
that's hilarious. Wow. Did the person get kicked out?
I'm not sure. I don't follow up on that stuff. We just make sure they're okay, and we have security handle issues like that.
That's hilarious. I love that story.
If it was a mistake, I kind of hope he didn't get kicked out, but at the same time, make sure he's okay. That's the important thing. Oh, and I should also mention the one time I was working the entrance to the ride, a guest came up to me asking if this is the ride where Jaws was at. And I said, so I'm sorry, ma'am, that's actually Universal Orlando. It's further up I-4. And she looked at me like starting to turn red. And she goes, this isn't Universal?
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. This is Disney's Hollywood Studios. You're at Walt Disney World. And she like turned around, like head shrunk, walked away, like, I made a mistake. Oh my God.
Those are the most, us Disney nerds freak out when we hear stuff like that. That's hilarious. Anyway, thanks Spanx so much for coming on the show. Of course, you can catch all of his work over at attractionsmagazine.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hope you guys enjoyed that trivia. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. I know a lot of you have been asking me on social media my thoughts and opinions on the new Fantasmic 2.0 here at Disneyland. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about it, and I'm really happy to share them with you, but I'm not going to get to it this week. It's going to be next week's episode. So be sure to tune in to get my full review and thoughts of Fantasmic 2.0. I also want to take a moment to thank so many of you who came up and said hello at this year's D23 Expo. It was really lovely to meet you, and I certainly appreciate you guys tuning in every week. And it's so nice to put a face to a lot of these Twitter usernames or however we communicate. So it was great to meet you, so thanks so much. I also want to remind you guys, if you want to connect with us on social media, go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, check out the links there for our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so much more. And of course, help other Disney fans find the show. Go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, look up how you can leave a 5-star written review on iTunes under our frequently asked questions if you're not sure how to do that. The review really helps other fans find the show. So go ahead and do that. And for now, have a fantastic week, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for watching Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.